It's January 2013 and Silk Road is booming. With each new user, Ross Ulbricht's underground marketplace expands, but so does the government's investigation. Homeland Security and the DEA have begun to use a new tactic, infiltrating the marketplace from within. The key to their plan? Gaining access to Ross through Silk Road's administrators. With the arrest and cooperation of Curtis Green, known on the forums as Flush, the government got one step closer. They're now in control of a Silk Road administrator's account. Will this newfound access bring them closer to finding Ross, or will the Dread Pirate keep eluding their capture? What if Ross finds out about Green's arrest? Will they cut off Green's access? Or worse, with Green's address and driver's license information saved on Ross's computer, all bets are off. It's not like the government has to worry about corrupt agents assigned to the case either, right? Well, the answer to that question is a bit more complicated. January 17th, 2013. Facing charges of attempting to buy 1 kilo of cocaine, Curtis Green has handed over the Flush administrator account to Special Agent Carl Force. He authorizes Force to assume the Flush identity. Force then changes the account's password. January 20th, 2013. Suspicious, Ross cuts off access to the Flush account. The Baltimore Silk Road Task Force, using Green, successfully communicates with Ross to regain access to the account. January 23rd, 2013. A vendor by the name of Madzu is looking to buy cocaine in bulk. Users of the forum refer them to Knob. January 23rd, 2013. 60 bitcoins are transferred from the Flush account into the government's account, Trust Us Jones. Agent Carl Force emails Baltimore Task Force member and Secret Service agent Sean Bridges, requesting Bridges deposit Bitcoin to replenish the Trust Us Jones account. 60 bitcoins are transferred from the account number 13 into the government's account, Trust Us Jones. January 25th, 2013. Curtis Green debriefs Sean Bridges, Carl Force, and other members of the Baltimore Task Force in a proper session. Green shows them the administrator functions of his account. January 25th, 2013. The number 13 account is given vendor privileges. The Flush account then transfers 900 bitcoins into the number 13 account, which is still controlled by Sean Bridges. January 25th, 2013. Something strange is going on. Vendors on the Silk Road notice their bitcoins are being stolen. In total, around 20,000 bitcoins are believed to have been stolen. As of March 14th, 2025, the total value of the hack stands at over $1.5 billion. January 26th, 2013. Ross determines that the employee, aka Curtis Green, has stolen the bitcoins from vendors' accounts. Ross then tells Special Agent Carl Force, by messaging the Knob account, quote, "The employee got busted. Also, he stole funds from Silk Road users. Beat him and get the money back." After Flush's account password is changed, the theft stops. January 26th, 2013. Curtis Green is questioned by law enforcement about the hack but denies any knowledge. Green's denial is significant. Let me explain why. Curtis Green was presumably monitored by federal agents whenever he was accessing the Flush account. Do you think someone who is voluntarily cooperating with federal agents would steal over 20,000 Bitcoin after he was arrested? It's not very likely. Let's back up a second to the previous day, January 25th. That day, Curtis Green debriefed Carl Force, Sean Bridges, and other members of the Baltimore Task Force about the administrator privileges his account had access to. Is it a stretch to assume Bridges and Force orchestrated the hack from Green's administrator account in order to enrich themselves? No. In fact, they were later arrested and convicted of the theft, among other things. More on that later though. At this point, Ross knows it was the Flush account that stole the bitcoins from the vendors. Keep in mind, Ross had Green's driver's license and address on file. Green had enough information to bring Ross down. Green needed to be taken care of quickly. January 27th, 2013. Ulbricht and Variety Jones then talk about what to do with Green. Variety Jones mentions they should eliminate him. He tells Ross, quote, "At what point in time do we decide we've had enough of someone and terminate them? We're playing with big money with serious people." Ross then messages the Knob account, controlled by Special Agent Carl Force, to see if they could take care of Curtis Green. Force agrees. Ross agrees to pay $80,000, half before and half after Green is eliminated. February 4th, 2013. After confirming with the quote, "assassin," the job can be done, Ross sends the first $40,000. February 12th, 2013. Agent Carl Force tells Ross, quote, "The employee is alive and being tortured." February 16th, 2013. With Green's cooperation, the federal agents stage his death. Photos are taken and sent to Ross as proof the deed was done. Ross then sends the remaining $40,000. February 28th, 2013. The FBI has a lead on the IP address of Silk Road. They sent a request to the hosting company located in Iceland to obtain subscriber information, collect routing information for communications sent to and from the server, and image the content of the server. By the time the hosting company responded in May of 2013, the server was no longer hosting Silk Road, though. March 6th, 2013. Sean Bridges receives 9 wire transfers to his Fidelity account from the Mt. Gox Bitcoin exchange, totaling $820,000. It should be noted, at this point in the government's investigation, they're still not sure who Dread Pirate Roberts is, though someone named Anand Athavale is considered as being DPR. Quick note, Agent Carl Force received information from the Homeland Security investigators in December 2012 about Athavale as a potential suspect. Carl Force then informs Agent Sean Bridges about this information. April 1st, 2013. Agent Carl Force creates the account Death from Above and then contacts Ross and attempts to solicit a $250,000 payment from him. From Ross's journals, April 2nd, 2013. Quote, got death threat from someone. Death from Above. April 6th, 2013. Agent Force, using the Death from Above account, writes to Ross, quote, it's not that easy, Anand Athavale. I'm legit, Green Beret, friend of Curtis Green. In fact, as far as the Army and Navy are concerned, you're a nobody. Petty drug dealer. April 10th, 2013. Continuing to try and extort Ross, Force gives Ross personally identifying information about Athavale, including his name, address, and date of birth. Agent Force, quote, is that enough to get your attention? After watching you, there's no way you could have killed Curtis Green, but I think you had something to do with it. So $250,000 in US cash or bank transfer, and I won't give your identity to law enforcement. Consider it punitive damages. Consider that Force probably assumed Ross was Athavale. It's also understandable that Bridges knows about the so-called assassination of Curtis Green. He was on the task force that helped stage it. Let's take a step back and look at why this is so insane. Carl Force is a special agent on the team investigating Silk Road. He knows about Curtis Green's supposed execution as he was on the task force that helped stage it. He was present when Curtis Green explained the administrative functions of his account. Force then used these privileges to steal over 20,000 bitcoins from vendors on the Silk Road. Not just that, Force is attempting to extort Ross for over $250,000 by providing him with his supposed details as a way to get him to pay up, which weren't actually Athavale's details. Corruption, it turned out, also extended to the government's investigators themselves. While Ross was trying to deal with federal agents attempting to extort him, there was a bigger issue that kept repeatedly haunting him: Silk Road's IP address. This wasn't a new issue. As Silk Road grew, the IP address of its server accidentally leaked several times. For example, on March 25th, 2013, Ross noted in his journals, quote, DDoSed. Someone knew the real IP, discovered the IP via a leak. I migrated to a new server. DDoSing is a denial of service attack. It floods a website with so much traffic that it goes down. To take down Silk Road, you need to know its actual IP address. The problem is, if the FBI finds out the real IP address, they can compel the company hosting the Silk Road to give them full access to the site's contents. Remember how the FBI reached out to the hosting provider in Iceland to try and get information on the Silk Road when they found its old IP address? They were too slow to get any real information that time. But next time, they wouldn't come up quite as empty-handed.